While a lady knight in the 14th century may not be the most historically authentic concept, it certainly is a fun one. In this series of videos, I will endeavor to create a traditional knight's costume from late medieval England tailored to fit a more feminine body type. The techniques used in this series will be applicable to any body type following along, as long as the patterns are tailored to fit the wearer, which they should be anyway. If you use these videos to create your own garments, I urge you to create many mock-ups until you are truly satisfied with the fit of each piece. There's nothing worse than cutting into your expensive fabric only to find that you've sized it incorrectly and must start over entirely. They say measure twice, cut once, but really measure 20 times. In the late Middle Ages, women were not permitted to attain the title of knight. A woman's place was not on the battlefield, but rather at home, minding the estate while her husband was away. But in some cases, women joined chivalric orders and served at war. In the first 10 years of the Knights Templars' existence, women were permitted to join the order and fight alongside men, and in 1149, the Order of the Hatchet was established to honor women who fought in defense of Tortosa during the Second Crusade. In both cases, they would have been dressed in men's attire and armor, but in modern costume, female warriors are depicted in unrealistic armor designed to accentuate their feminine features and appeal to the male gaze. My goal is not to recreate this impractical representation, but rather to create what I believe would have been a woman's wartime attire had they been treated equally to men in medieval times. Although by the 14th century the concept of women at war was largely not the case, the costume I am creating will focus on this era. As a note, since this costume's primary purpose is to be used for a fantasy persona, you will see that I am taking a few creative liberties with materials and design in the name of being #aesthetic. In medieval Europe, it was easy to determine a person's social rank just by looking at the clothes they were wearing. This was in part due to legislation dictating what individuals were allowed to wear based on their social class, known as sumptuary laws. From style of garments to type of fabric, these laws regulated fashion in order to preserve a visual hierarchical class structure. Most people were restricted from buying cloth over a certain price point, depending on their rank or trade. Additionally, in order to protect their wool industry, it was made illegal to wear fabrics woven outside of England. I'll be starting with the piece that is, to me, the center point of this costume, the gambeson. A gambeson is a type of padded and quilted armor either made up of many layers of fabric sewn together or stuffed with batting, typically cotton or wool. There are several garments that fall under this category, including the padded jack, acqueton, and pourpoint. For this project, I will be basing the construction off of the pourpoint of Charles VI, one of the only surviving extant garments of padded armor we have. Because I don't have access to the garment myself, I will be following along with the recreation process depicted by Tasha Dandelion Kelly of CoatSimple.com, which I will link in the description. I am not seeking to recreate this garment in exactness, but I am using the construction methods provided by her research to create a gambeson of my own historically inspired design. Since this project is estimated to take between 100 and 200 hours of work, I will not be posting the videos of its creation in weekly succession, as I am unfortunately not a sorcerer with control over time magic. However, I will be updating my progress on my Instagram and Ko-fi accounts if you'd prefer to follow along more closely. The persona for which this outfit is being crafted is a wealthy knight from a noble family. Therefore, it can be assumed she would have access to expensive dyed cloth and precious metals. That being said, I have chosen to make this garment out of purple Melton wool, which, while possible, may not be the most reasonable color, given that most access to purple dye would not have the color fastness to stand up to the sun and rain of war campaigns. However, as I said before, aesthetics are the most important facet of this project, though Melton wool, at least, is a product of England. Though I could find little historical evidence of trimming a gambeson with leather, it is a common occurrence among the modern replicas available for purchase. I love the detail it provides, and I have a good amount of gorgeous white leather I have been itching to use, so I intend to do so. It's certainly something that would have been possible with the tools available in the period, despite the lack of evidence supporting it, so I don't feel this is too unreasonable. While the pourpoint I have chosen as the basis for my construction is closed with buttons, and many examples we see are laced closed, I intend at this point to close the garment with buckles. This will allow me to get in and out of the garment faster, plus I like the way they look. I will add leather cut in a quatrefoil shape to reinforce the area where the straps for the buckles will be attached. I'm not totally decided on this point though, and I may still decide to lace it closed instead, but I really like the shape of the quatrefoils. Lastly, the quilting pattern. Most gambesons are quilted with straight lines, but in many depictions you see them in a diamond quilted pattern. I think the diamond quilting is quite striking, so I have combined the two patterns in my design. I also intend, depending on how things turn out, to add gold rivets at the intersection of each quilting line. Once I make that decision, it will not be reversible, so I am holding off on committing to that until I have finished the rest of the garment. The gambeson will be constructed in two pieces, a vest-like main body with finished arm's eyes and a linen undershirt with attached padded sleeves. This will allow for the most mobility, flexibility, and ventilation while keeping a fitted silhouette.